I'm here with Chris Noell, Senior Vice President of Engineering at AlertLogic. Chris, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Can you walk us through what brought you to AlertLogic and what your day-to-day looks like as SVP of Engineering?
Sure. So when I joined AlertLogic 6 years ago, it was really at the beginning of cloud security, and the cloud was really starting to take off. And it was exciting to me to have the opportunity to be really at the ground floor of establishing the disciplines associated with how you secure the cloud and building the right tool sets for customers to consume. And in terms of my day-to-day, we've become a big cloud consumer ourselves. We've transitioned from a data center-centric infrastructure to a cloud-centric infrastructure. So a lot of my day looks like cost management, and security, and innovation in that cloud environment, as well as continuing to build the right tool sets for our customers.
How secure is the cloud?
So from a potential perspective, you can actually become more secure in the cloud than you can in a traditional environment.
Right.
And that's really driven by the fact that a cloud is a software-driven environment. So your ability to get to conformance where you absolutely know what's there and what's there is right and consistent across the entire environment is, far exceeds your capability to do the same on premise, or at least it requires a lot more maturity to get to the same result on premise. The difficulty with the cloud for a lot of customers is it's generally a role and responsibility change within the organization because developers tend to take the front seat in this software-driven environment. And maybe your dev organization hasn't been used to having as much security responsibility and network responsibility.
It's also hard to find the appropriate talent to fill those positions sometimes as well. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
a lot of times you're going to have to grow that yourself and transition your developers from one environment to the other, and that's certainly a process too.
Sure, a mindset shift. So AlertLogic focuses on early detection and remediation of potential threats and data breaches. What kinds of cybersecurity attacks do you see most often, and what are some of the new threats people need to be aware of?
So in terms of the threats we see in a cloud environment, they really, to a large degree, aren't that different than the threats that you have in any other environment. We do see customers make mistakes with things like S3 bucket configuration, where you're sort of one click away from making data public that really shouldn't be. And so getting visibility into that kind of thing and being able to govern it proactively versus being a victim of one developer's accident is super important.
Right, and the S3 bucket leaks have been getting a lot of press, and that usually is user malfunction as opposed to the actual cloud itself.
Yeah, I mean, we actually look at the configuration mistakes that we track and provide visibility to with our own Cloud Insight product. And when we do that analysis across all our customers, we see the same types of mistakes being made, and they really are configuration related. The security capability's there. It's just someone doesn't use it consistently or maybe doesn't use it at all.
How does AlertLogic's platform address security and compliance concerns?
Governance is really getting visibility for governance is really the ground floor. And then from there, it's the security tooling for threat detection. A lot of times the tools that you've had in the past can't make that transition at least cleanly because the cloud is a software-driven environment, and so you need your security tooling to operate in the same way. You need your security tooling to operate with AWS or cloud metadata so that it's not talking about a problem on an IP address that becomes a detective exercise to go find that IP address after it's already descaled. And
so AlertLogic works with the big three cloud providers, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, all of which are constantly adding new services and features monthly to serve their customers. Are there any kinds of services that are more difficult to protect than others?
Yeah, so it really gets back to the conversation we were just having about the different environments. Like you said, all of them are innovating very rapidly, and a lot of compute environments are on this journey where more and more they're becoming hybridized across traditional instances and then containers and serverless computing with Lambda or Azure functions. And so how do you have a security solution that can really comprehensively cover that waterfront. And so that's certainly where we are focused, is continuing to innovate. We were the first company, and still the only company to my knowledge, that provides a network intrusion detection product that can be deployed cleanly in AWS. We're about to be the first company that can do so for containers, and so we continue to evolve our stack as our customers move their compute environments and take advantage of cloud innovation.
Well, that leads me to my next question. How can your clients learn about how AlertLogic manages its own cloud security? How can they learn from you?
Yeah, so we've certainly matured our own practices and have some learning lessons along the way that may be helpful to clients. But one of the most basic is getting control of your AWS accounts or your cloud accounts, no matter what environment you're in themselves. A lot of organizations start with more of an ad hoc, developers or SEs or whoever around the organization just goes and opens an account on their credit card and turns it in on an expense report, and there's not a lot of governance around those accounts. As that becomes a critical part of your infrastructure, and as there may be sensitive data in some of those accounts, becomes important to really get control of that, and then to start to build a governance and risk model around those accounts. Not all accounts are created equal. If you have a development account and there are no production credentials in it, no production data in it, then it probably shouldn't get the same level of security as your production account with your customers' sensitive data in it. And so one of the things that we've evolved to is centralizing the governance around those accounts, so we know at a corporate level what accounts are out there and what they're being used for. We then have visibility from a security perspective into the configuration of all those accounts. That's kind of where we've drawn our baseline. But then we invest in threat detection controls, which are more expensive to operate on a higher tier of risk accounts. And that's been a good structure for us. That's, again, kind of the beginning of the journey, not the end. But
Sure.
It's one of those things that as we all get more comfortable with cloud security, it's amazing how many organizations are kind of still somewhere in that beginning stage. And hopefully that's helpful to somebody who's listening to this.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. So as AlertLogic furthers their position in the cloud compliance and security space, we noticed the creation of the Cloud Security Summit. Can you tell us a little bit about the summit, its creation, who should attend, and why?
Yeah, so the Cloud Security Summit is a series of events that we're putting on in cities around the country. And really we're doing it to try to share best practices in this emerging space and get people together to talk about how what they're doing with the cloud and how they're going about securing it. Share some war stories. So we have people from our Security Operations Center there talking about real attacks we've seen that are applicable to probably most, if not everybody in the audience. So it's a good opportunity to come and hear from a security organization that at this point is servicing thousands of different customers and specifically securing their cloud environments and the patterns that we see out of that.
Absolutely. Bring everybody under the wing of the cloud, safer, easier, more efficient, all that good stuff. Chris, thanks for stopping in today. You gave us a lot of great information about the cloud and AlertLogic's platform. We look forward to seeing how AlertLogic grows in the coming years.
Thank you.
Thank you.